So last week I replaced the lights on the back of the trailer and wired them all up. Got that working, but there's an issue on the other end, on the vehicle end. Let me just plug this in and I'll show you. Left's not working. If you're enjoying this content, please remember to like and subscribe below. It really helps the channel, and leave a comment as well. I read all of those. It's always good to hear what your thoughts are. Neither of them working. There should be some kind of change happening there, and it's down to the wiring of the plug. And because it's been so long since that was installed, the bolts that held the socket onto the tow bar attachment had completely rusted through. We had to drill them out, so we need a new socket, and that's what I'm going to install today. They seem to be on at the moment. Just to show you, we should have left, right, hazards and braking. So the gist you get from that is sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and that's not really good enough when its purpose is to tell people where you're going to go. So let's get to work replacing this socket. So I believe it's the contact on one or more of the wires coming from the loom in the vehicle that comes off of the tail light, and it's one or more of the wires that goes into the socket. From what I tested the other day, I think it might be mainly the black wire, because that's left-hand tail light, and that's the one that seemed to keep going. So luckily this is plenty long enough so I can shorten that slightly. Yeah, what's this? What's this? Use your nose. What is it? Right then. Got the socket itself, no grommet, so luckily the grommet we've got seems still to be fairly intact. No grommet, no bolts, no nuts, just the socket. So what seemed like a good deal for a fiver seems like not so good a deal for a fiver, because if I haven't got the right sized bolts, then I've got to go out and get some, and unless you go into town to the sort of store nuts and bolts and get exact, you know, they'll sell you them individually, you've got to buy a pack of 200 for 3 bolts. So we'll see. Got the wiring diagrams for various configurations. I'll be using a 7-pin trailer lighting. Yeah, yellow left-hand indicator, yeah. Rear fog, blue, yeah. Earth return is white. Right hand indicator green, yeah. Right tail and number plate brown. Stop is red. Left tail and number plate is black, yeah. Because on these lights, the number plate lights, there's a plastic window on the inside edges of each of the lights, so that when you've got your tail lights on, that light just spills through to illuminate the number plate instead of having additional light. So yeah, next step is to cut back the old cable, strip the ends, solder them, and then do a test fit without trying to bolt this to the vehicle. I've stripped back all the individual wires, and now I'm going to have a go at tinning them to make them a little stronger, and then we'll try attaching the socket and see how it goes from there. Now, my soldering experience is extremely limited. So if anyone has experience in that skill, I'm all ears. This purple wire, it's very brittle as well. I don't know if it's water ingress over time that causes it, but the purple wire in particular is very black and brittle and not very soldered. Well, here are the fruits of my labour. What I've learned, I think, is the wire that has decayed. Could you say over time? You know, the black wire doesn't take the solder like the copper in good condition does. This one is the best example. It just doesn't want to coat it properly, whereas some of the other ones, where's the best one? Which one am I most proud of? Yeah, yellow one's pretty good, I'd say. So a mixed bunch, these ones, but I'll test them now, see if they're any good. Somewhat usefully, I just noticed as well, the inner piece actually just lifts out. Just going to make it a little easier to wire. Making sure that you've got your grommet on the wire, that's really important, because once it's wired in, you're not going to be able to get it on. We want number one, yellow at the top, and this is the view if you were looking down the socket. For example, here's the old one. This one's actually got the numbers on it: 1, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 7. So if you were looking from the back of the socket, is how you want to do it. This is good, actually. These seem to not have too much of a problem with just being snipped. So now I can prevent them from sticking out really far. And on this one, get rid of that lumpy bit at the end. Blue we did, green. All right, just white and black to trim down now. Okay, black. There we go. All right. Lights on. Just the one. So wouldn't that be black? Left indicator. Good. I know that one's working because of the beep. I'll explain that in a minute. Hazards, yeah. Brake lights are the one that I can't check because my legs aren't that long. They're quite long, but not that much. Okay. I'm going to use my multimeter. I'm going to set it to 20 volts because that's the nearest, closest to 12. I hate doing this. It's like I'm right down by the exhaust. I'm sure people who do this professionally have a bench that they can do their testing on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is on this wiring setup, white is the earth return. So I want to put my earth on there, and then I want to put my live onto the black wire. And what I'm looking for is a solid voltage, because that will tell me whether it's the connection. If this is a solid voltage, give me a solid current, then that will tell me that it's the connection. If it cuts in and out just when I touch it, then it will tell me it's something wrong with the wire further down. You can. Okay, look, that's solid. So that tells us that it is a poor connection between this wire and this port that it screws into. Oh God, have I just blown the fuse? Hopefully not. Yeah, I've got to pull all the trim out of the vehicle again to replace the fuse. What a numpty. What an absolute numpty. Well, I think what you've just seen there is actually a really good point to make. Although 12 volt doesn't pose the kind of dangers that 230 volt electrics and wiring does, it's all about habit. and it's just always best to isolate what you're working on first, because that one little slip of the finger like that, and that blew the fuse. That shows that why there's a fuse there, because then it didn't affect the electrics in the rest of the vehicle. Though, I mean, it would have been a damn sight more convenient if the fuse under the glove box had gone, rather than the one behind all the trim in the vehicle. Now, I might actually modify this so that it's easier to access in future, because yeah, no one wants to be pulling out trim every time something goes wrong. But I think I'll leave it there for tonight, because my dad will want to use the car in the morning, so I need to sort of tidy this up again, and we'll get it finished tomorrow. So the fuse that I blew yesterday is attached to the relay, and that's located in here, and it's a real pain to get to, because in order to remove this piece of trim, you need to remove this piece of trim, this piece of trim, possibly that one, I can't remember, and then you got to flip all the seats forward. So I'll do that next. And in order to flip the seats forward, you need to move the passenger seat forward. It's never simple. Okay, so got that forward. Who's this? Anyone that didn't know, these things here on the seats, the purpose of these is that you can clip them onto the headrest of the seat in front, and that will keep it securely in place if you're in transit. We're going to need, it's probably a T20. What the hell is beeping? Alright, so now this should just pull out. Now, I've barely filmed any of this last step. Pretty overwhelmed today, and I don't want to catch a meltdown on camera, and you don't want to see it either. But what I've just done is taken, oh god, taken all of the, hello, yep, okay, yeah, I'll let them know. Right, cheers, bye. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I've put this sheathing left over from the van. It's that same stuff that's got the split down it, so you can push it in as you go along. It's much more easy to work with. And I've gathered up all those wires and put them through here so that they all come tidily, and that means that now it's less stressful to try and work out. I can work out how I'm going to get it into the trim. And now that all the wires are sort of much tidier, I'll put a little cable tie here so that they don't slide out like this. So they come round here into the relay, and then I've got all of these. I had to extend the wires, so I've written on each, that's yellow, so that corresponds to the yellow that comes from here, just so I know to put them in the right pins. And that way all of this will be accessible without pulling out any of this trim. Hopefully nothing ever goes wrong, but if it does, it's easily fixable. Can you push the brake pedal, please? If you press, yeah, okay, and off. And on. Yes!